Hi guys! How are you today? Welcome back to my channel Adventures in America. If you are new to my channel, my name is Jocelyn and I'm a dual citizen of the United States and the Philippines. If you recently traveled in the Philippines, please share your travel experience and let us know what you think of the travel restrictions currently in place right now. Let's get started. For today's topic, I'm going to discuss the entry denials in the Philippines. However, these entry denials are not conclusive or inclusive. So that means I'm only going to point out specific reasons for your entry denials in the Philippines based on the current travel health protocols. Please take note that the Philippines is not yet open for international tourism. So that means that if you are a foreign tourist and you have no relatives such as a spouse or a child in the Philippines, then you may not be able to travel. Also, if you are just planning to visit a fiancé who is based in the Philippines right now, you will not be able to enter as well. So all foreign tourists are not yet allowed to travel in the Philippines even if you are fully vaccinated. However, there are only specific foreign nationals allowed to travel in the Philippines. I'm going to discuss that later in this video. So I'm going to focus on the reasons for your entry denial. The number one reason would be if you are coming from a country that is included in a travel ban. Currently, Philippines has imposed a travel ban against several countries until July 15th. These countries are India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Oman, and United Arab Emirates. So if you have been in these countries in the last 14 days, you will not be able to travel the Philippines. Also, there are exceptions to the travel ban. For example, Filipinos who have been subjected to repatriation efforts of the government may be allowed to travel. Also, another exception is that if you have been in any of these countries for a layover only, then you may be allowed to travel in the Philippines. If you are a foreign national allowed under certain laws, there are still ways you could be denied entry. One of which is if you failed to present a passport that is valid for at least 6 months or beyond, or if you have an expiring passport when you enter the Philippines. Another reason for your entry denial would be if you fail to present a return ticket. The third reason for the entry denial is the failure to present a pre-booked hotel quarantine facility either for 10 days or 7 days as the case may be, depending on the country you are coming from or whether you are vaccinated in the Philippines or not. So this is one of the main reasons for the entry denials, and this includes Filipinos or former Filipinos or foreign nationals allowed to travel. So all of these eligible passengers, if you failed to present a pre-booked hotel quarantine facility, you will be denied entry. The airlines are checking whether you comply with this requirement. So if you lack, let's say you are required to pre-book a hotel for 10 days and you only pre-book for like 5 days, you will be still required to pre-book additional days before boarding. So the airlines are checking whether you have a pre-booked quarantine facility before boarding. Now, the fourth reason is specifically for a foreign spouse traveling in the Philippines and the wife or the child is based in the Philippines. Failure to present an entry visa. So the entry visa the Philippines is referring to is the temporary tourist visa or a 9A visa, and also failure to present an entry exemption document or EED from the Department of Foreign Affairs or National Task Force Against COVID-19. There are only limited reasons for granting an entry exemption document such as a real emergency, illness, or death of a family member. So some foreign spouses are still waiting on entry exemption documents because the Philippine government has not issued a lot of these exemptions for foreign spouses. Let me just clarify that there are also foreign spouses that do not need an entry visa or entry exemption document. These spouses or foreign spouses are holders of a valid 13A visa. So these are resident or long-term visas granted to a foreign spouse of a Filipina, and these are not subjected to entry exemption documents because there is a specific law governing resident visas for foreign spouses. So these are permanent visas for foreign spouses. So that means you are not required to get an entry exemption document. The number 5 reason for the entry denial is specific to a foreign parent of a Filipino child. So it doesn't matter if the Filipino child is traveling with a foreign parent or the Filipino child is based in the Philippines. So I'm talking about foreign parents that are native to their foreign countries. These are not applicable to former Filipino. This only pertains to foreign parent, and the specific requirement is that you needed to obtain an entry exemption document and a visa or an entry visa. There are 2 documents required. So if you don't have this, you will be denied entry. Another reason for an entry denial would be for either for a foreign spouse, failure to present original or authentic marriage certificate upon entering the Philippines. However, if you failed to report a marriage, this is not a ground for an entry denial. However, I would advise that couples who are married to their Filipino wives should be reporting their marriage to the nearest Philippine consulate covering their residence even before traveling. So it is not an entry denial if you failed to report your marriage abroad, but make sure that you present an original or authentic marriage certificate upon entering the Philippines to avoid any hassles or inconvenience of having to be denied at the port of entry. There are also other grounds for entry denials, such as failure to present original or authentic documents or faking some of the documents that are required to be presented at the immigration or at the port of entry. Another one is failure to be inspected or failure to abide by immigration laws at the time of entry. If you are an eligible passenger, whether you are a Filipino or former Filipino, dual citizen, or allowed foreign nationals in the Philippines, and you are unvaccinated, will you be subjected to an entry denial? The answer is no. Being vaccinated is not a requirement upon entry in the Philippines. However, there will be a longer quarantine requirements for those unvaccinated. As I've talked about earlier in the video, there are other foreign nationals allowed to travel in the Philippines under specific rules or under specific visa categories. These are the foreign nationals allowed: non-Filipino or foreign spouse and children or children with special needs of a Filipino national. Also, non-Filipino foreign parent of a minor child or a child with special needs regardless of age. Another are former Filipinos or Balikbayan and dual citizens. Spouse, children of former Filipino nationals under the Balikbayan program, accredited foreign government and international organization officials and their dependents, non-Filipino or foreign seafarers with 9C visa. Non-Filipino foreign nationals in possession of valid certificates, also non-Filipino foreign nationals with an eligible visa, for example, those who are holders of permanent resident visas such as 13A visas or alien resident visas. Also, SRRV visa holders. Another category are investors granted with Special Investors Lane Authority. So these are the only allowed foreign nationals in the Philippines, plus the foreign spouse and the foreign parent, either traveling with their Filipino child or not. So these are only the allowed visa holders, plus also the special visa like special resident retirees visa or SRRV visas. So these are also included, and they do not need an entry exemption document based on the latest immigration updates. There are also excluded aliens specifically stated under the Philippine immigration law, and I'm going to enumerate them with you quickly. The following classes of aliens shall be excluded from entry into the Philippines. Number 1, idiots or insane persons and persons who have been insane. Number 2, persons afflicted with a loathsome or dangerous contagious disease or epilepsy. Number 3, persons have been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude. Number 4, prostitutes or procurers or persons coming for any immoral purposes. Number 5, persons likely to become public charge. Number 6, paupers, vagrants, and beggars. Number 7, persons who practice polygamy or who believe in or advocate the practice of polygamy. Number 8, persons who believe in or advocate the overthrow by force and violence of the government of the Philippines. Number 9, persons over 15 years of age physically capable of reading, who cannot read printed matter in ordinary use in any language selected by the alien. But this provision shall not apply to the grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, wife, husband, or child of a Philippine citizen or of an alien lawfully resident in the Philippines. Number 10, persons who are members of a family accompanying an excluded alien unless, in the opinion of the Commissioner of Immigration, no hardship would result from their admission. Number 11, persons accompanying an excluded person who is helpless from mental or physical disability or infancy when the protection or guardianship of such accompanying person or person is required by the excluded person. And number 12, children under 15 years of age unaccompanied by or not coming to a parent, except that such any children may be admitted in the discretion of the Commissioner of Immigration. Number 13, stowaways, except admitted in the discretion of the Commissioner. Number 14, persons coming to perform unskilled manual labor in pursuance of a promise or offer of employment express or implied. But this shall not apply to persons bearing passport visas authorized by Section 20 of this Act. Number 15, persons who have been excluded or deported from the Philippines, provided that the Commissioner shall not exercise discretion in favor of aliens excluded or deported on the ground of conviction for any crime involving moral turpitude, or on the ground of having engaged in hoarding, black marketing, or profiteering. Number 16, persons who have been removed from Philippines at the expense of the government of the Philippines as indigent aliens and who have not obtained the consent of the Board of Commissioners to apply for readmission. And 17, not properly documented for admission as may be required under the law. So those are the reasons for entry denials and excluded aliens based on the Philippine immigration law. If you have any other questions or comments, please post them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Also, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always welcome new subscribers. And if you recently traveled in the Philippines, please share your travel experience and let me know your thoughts about the travel restrictions. Again, thank you guys for supporting my channel. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.